got a really cool one to show off for you. Did a lot of different things with it, and hopefully for some of you guys who have a bunch of watches from me, you'll see how different this is, and appreciate having something a little different than what you normally have. So a bunch of different things with this one. So I bought some donor watches from a guy who's had them for a while. And the point of it was just to get the cases. But he didn't take really good pictures of the cases. So some of the cases had scratches on them and things that, like, I worked on the fix. And normally I'd be like, oh, I'll just Cerakote those. And I did send some off to Cerakote. But this one only had one scratch. But it was deep enough that I could not just scratch it out. It was in there really deep. So I used it's like a rock grinder tip, and went through and knocked it out, and then I went back over and sanded it. So now it has a really cool finish on the top. I did the sides. You won't really tell, but I did that to make sure that there wasn't like a sharp edge or anything like that. And then back over, smoothed them out really nice. So it just gives a really cool textured finish. So normal finish on the sides, with this really cool finish on top. I did one of my classic 24 black dials. I did my last set of Vostok 24 hands that I had like that. Seconds hand, I have plenty of those, but the hands themselves. Did one of my custom made compass inserts. So I had a bunch of those made, and I've only put out, I think, 4 of them since I made 100. I think I had to do 100 or 150. I had a guy he had to have that. And in order for me to get it from my guy, who no longer makes them, I had to put it in an order for them to be manufactured. So I believe this is the 4th one with this bezel I've done. Then, since this is a 20 millimeter case, I was looking through all my leathers that I have, and I only have like 5 or 6 for 20 millimeter. I couldn't find anything that I thought looked ideal with this. And I set it off to the side. I was like, I'm going to have something custom made. Like, I completely forgot. You know, I shouldn't have built this one so quickly for tonight's event if I don't have a strap for it, right? I'm going to have to build something else and just kind of put this on for next week or the week after. I remembered I had some of my old ammo pouch leathers, and these are ones I had made in like 2020 and 2019, back before I was so that would have been probably 18. Back before I was modding watches, where I was building them myself. I was just taking cool watches and making them look cooler with custom leather straps. So I was spending a good penny on these. I think $75 a piece, having custom ammo pouch Italian leather straps being made, and with the double lock for you to flip this around in there to kind of tighten it down. And I went through there. I had a bunch of 22s, and I haven't been selling them. I've been kind of keeping them for myself. I had a couple 24s, and I had 2 20s in there, and that's where we landed on, because this is the original style that I did for hold on, I'm sorry, I'm getting blown up via text right now. I hate when people do that while I'm in a video. I do these videos on time when I'm not working and nobody should be bothering me for my other job, and then I still get those. It's wonderful. So this was actually the perfect intent for these straps were for watch dials just like this. So it was actually like perfect finding it. So but it had been kind of put away. You know, I moved, so it kind of got, I don't want to say that it got put out of the normal line of view, but it was in an area where, like, I just happened to stumble across it like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, oh yeah, I have some of those. but I don't really do NATOs, so they'll stay there, and I don't want to sell them because no one will give me what I paid for them back out of them, and I appreciate them more than I need money out of them. One of those things, so I kind of just self-hoard my own stuff that I justify. But anyway, that's one of these. So I think it came out awesome. So you're not going to have a watch with this kind of finish on the front. I've only done that one other time, and I don't remember who got it, but it was like probably 2 years ago. So these compass ones, you're not going to see too many of these out there, at least right now. I did do some before, and they were sloped compass. It was a different bezel, and they were sloped inside. It's a two-piece, but he sells them completed. I got mine with some of them put together, some of them not, so I could Cerakote in black if I wanted, etc., etc. So you haven't seen too many of those. And then you definitely have not seen one of my watches on one of these, because I don't think I've ever done that, even in the normal 22 size that I do. But additionally, you also have, this is kind of military style. I threw on one of the star engraved. But pretty simple how this works. So if you look at it from the side, this is a two-piece. So you get one piece and two-piece. You feed the top piece down through and back up through. Pretty simple. And then you can kind of adjust it. So if you notice where the watch head's sitting, you kind of do it. If you flop that back down, you kind of want it in the middle of that. But if you find that it's like a little lower on your wrist or a little higher, you can literally just kind of adjust it here. So all you're doing is just bringing in some of the slack and then pull it back down. Then you're going to pull this down through this piece here. Just make sure these are straight. Since it's leather on leather, you know, it gets a little tight rubbing against it, but once it's in the clearance area, it just goes right through. So if you look at that, to me, that looks like it's a little too high. You just easily pull it down. So much easier when you're not wearing it to just guide it back and forth. When you put it on your wrist, you're going to do it just like you normally would. This will flip. I'm doing this looking through a camera instead of just looking right at it. I should look at it instead. But then I don't know if I'm filming because, like, you know, I'm just moving it to where I can see, which is off camera. So it's going to be on your wrist. You're going to go, all right, this is, I have a really tight, small wrist. That's perfectly fine. You lift both of these up, feed it through. You back feed it through this one. So that's all we did. Then I push this down, push that down. So if you would find that, like, you're like, oh, that's always way too much, I don't like that, I mean, you can always try and like work it back through. But if your wrist is really small and in the end you don't like this, you can legit use a coin and put it over top of it and use an X-Acto and cut, and that will just knock it down for you. You can literally do it just like that. But that is a bit tight. I don't know, that's smaller than my wrist, and I've got a pretty small wrist. Most of the time when I'm doing it, mine's more like that when it's all said and done. So it just kind of looks cool. But sorry for the long video. Just want to make sure that if you haven't used one of these NATOs like this, that you know how to do that. Now, obviously, you can always put on your own strap. It's 20 millimeter. You just put it on like normal. As with every build, well, let's actually, we need to, bezel will turn left, it'll turn right. It is a tension ring bezel. It does not click. Automatic mechanical, it's got a rotor in the back. So as you're moving, it's moving and keeping your time. But if you're not very active, you're not going to be moving very much. Make sure you wind it just a little bit. And how you do that is you back the crown off the threads until you hear it and feel it clicking. At that point, you can wind. And a wind is a turn away from you. Turning it towards you does not wind it. It still clicks it. But it's a lot easier to keep your finger spacing and go back and forth. If you do that for 4 or 5 seconds before you put it on, that mixed with your rotor movement will keep your time throughout the day. And if you do it for another 4 or 5 seconds, you will max out your 31-hour plus power reserve on it. You cannot overwind it, so don't worry about that. You can wind it all day. It's got a slipping mainspring in there. When you're happy with your winding, you're going to pull to the 1, and then you'll click, and you can now set your time. Does not have a hacking movement, so that will keep ticking. Alexa, what time is it?
Good morning, Brian. It's 10:38 a.m.
10:38, I think is what they said. Either that or 10:30. Definitely sound like 38. All right. You just push it back over, screw it back down, and you're done. As with every build, you're going to get matching beads. You're going to get, since this isn't necessarily military style, just kind of very much looks military style, I just went ahead and just did a standard BVW box, slider box with Atlas pillow inside. You're going to get a few things. Watch cleaner to keep this perfectly clean. Non-streaking, non-toxic, non-residue, as well as a microfiber. You'll get leather conditioner to make sure this NATO stays perfectly soft. You'll probably never need it. It is super soft and pliable, but you might use it for something else. And then lastly, some fine scratch remover. This is Novus 2 from Amazon, just repackaged. It's like Polywatch, and it's for your domed acrylic glass that you can scratch. If you do, you'll put a tiny bit of that on it and buff it out with your other microfiber. Make circles, haze it, buff it out, and it will be gone. If it's still there, wait a little bit. Make sure when you're buffing, you're doing it like 30 seconds at a time, like really, really, really generating some heat with your thumb and buffing it, and it will be gone. So that's the build. I think it came out pretty awesome. The nice thing was I had time to kind of build and figure out what I wanted to put together on it after after I had to work on the dial, or not the dial, on the case, and then after I did all that and got it all perfect, that I realized I got to figure out the band. So I'll just leave that down, just depending on what the person who puts it on, what their if your wrist is that size, you can just fold that down and just keep it like that. But I don't want to put an interesting crease in it if they don't need it, and then it kind of flops that direction. I guess you can just put the leather conditioner on it and it will work itself back out. But that's the build. If it's going to you, congrats. I hope you love it. Thank you so much for watching the video. Sorry it was a long video, but I thought this was a pretty cool watch. If you want me to build you something custom and unique, reach out and I'll see what I can do. And if you want to continue to see videos like this, like and subscribe, as I put them up all the time. Thanks, friends.